My name is Robert.
Yeah.
I'm 72 years old, and my wife and I have been married for 50 years. Most people hear that number and smile. They assume it means we figured things out early. They assume it means stability, wisdom, love that lasted. That's not what it means. What it means is that we stayed. Even when it was easier to drift than to talk. Even when days passed without anything breaking, and somehow that felt worse.
There were years when nothing was wrong, no shouting, no betrayal, no big mistakes, just two people sharing a house, sharing responsibilities, slowly forgetting how to share themselves. I'm not telling you this because our marriage failed. It didn't. I'm telling you because it almost disappeared without either of us noticing. If someone had told me this on our wedding day, I would have laughed. I would have said we had time, plenty of it. That's the lie that costs the most. Because one day you wake up next to the same person and realize you've been living beside them, not with them. We didn't lose each other, but we came close enough to finally understand the price of waiting. For a long time, our life looked fine from the outside. We worked, we paid bills, we raised kids, we did what responsible adults are supposed to do. There were no dramatic fights, no slammed doors, no nights spent wondering if one of us would leave. That's why it took so long to notice what was happening. Our conversations became efficient, short, functional. Who's picking up groceries? What time is the appointment? Did you pay that bill? We talked every day. We just didn't say much. Evenings passed with the television on, each of us tired in our own quiet way. We shared the same couch, but rarely the same thoughts. I told myself this was normal, that this was what long marriages looked like, stable, predictable, safe, and it was safe. That was the danger, because nothing felt urgent, nothing felt broken enough to fix. So we kept going, not unhappy, just slowly disconnected. I didn't realize you could lose closeness without losing the person. By the time I sensed something was missing, I had already gotten used to living without it. Her name is Anne. I didn't say it out loud back then, but in my head I was always counting. I worked long hours. I fixed things around the house. I handled the finances. I told myself I was carrying my weight, and every time Anne asked me to do one more thing, something small, something reasonable, a quiet voice inside me would say, "Doesn't she see everything I already do?" I never accused her directly. I didn't have to. Resentment doesn't need words. It just needs time. What I didn't see was that she was counting too. Meals cooked without thanks. Schedules managed without notice. Children raised. Details remembered. Birthdays, appointments, family obligations that never touched my calendar. She didn't complain. She just kept adding to her list. Two people living in the same house, both exhausted, both convinced the other one didn't fully understand how much they were giving. That's the lie keeping score creates. It turns partnership into comparison, sacrifice into currency, love into math. Marriage isn't 50-50. It never was. Some seasons, one person carries almost everything, But we wasted years before learning that, measuring effort, tallying favors, building a quiet wall between us. Nothing collapsed, nothing exploded. We just grew farther apart while telling ourselves we were being fair. Anne has always been a planner. Lists, calendars, dates circled weeks in advance. She feels calm when she knows what's coming. I've never been built that way. I decide as I go. I like open space in my days. I trust things will work themselves out. For years, we treated that difference like a problem to solve. She thought if she explained it clearly enough or asked firmly enough, I'd finally understand why planning mattered and change. I thought if I pushed back hard enough, she'd learn to relax, to let go, to stop worrying so much about what hadn't happened yet. What we were really doing was asking each other to become someone else. And every time we failed, one of us felt irresponsible, and the other felt controlling. That's what trying to change someone does. It doesn't improve them. It makes them feel inadequate. The shift didn't come from winning an argument. It came from exhaustion. We stopped asking who was right and started asking what actually worked. Anne plans the things that need structure, trips, finances, the calendar that keeps our life running. I handle the unplanned moments, small detours, unexpected stops, things that remind her life doesn't always need a schedule. We didn't become the same. We stopped trying to. For a long time, I thought staying quiet meant keeping the peace. If something bothered me, I told myself it wasn't worth the argument, that letting it go was the mature thing to do. Anne did the same. Small disappointments, moments of feeling ignored, requests forgotten, each one filed away under not important enough. But unspoken things don't fade, they collect. I remember the night it finally came out, over something meaningless. I can't even remember what it was now. I only remember the look on her face when everything she'd been holding back spilled over at once. She wasn't angry about that moment. She was angry about months of feeling unseen. Standing there, I felt blindsided. I thought this came out of nowhere. It didn't. It came from every conversation we didn't have because silence felt safer than honesty. We learned too late that peace built on avoidance isn't peace at all. It's pressure. And pressure always finds a way out. When we finally started speaking sooner, not accusing, not attacking, just saying this bothered me, the arguments got smaller, awkward, uncomfortable, but survivable. Somewhere along the way, we stopped choosing each other, not consciously, not cruelly. It just happened. We knew each other so well that we assumed effort was no longer required. We'd survived hard years, raised kids, paid off the house. We thought the relationship would now run on its own. Our days became efficient. Our nights became quiet, not intimate, just quiet. We talked about tasks, groceries, appointments, repairs, the mechanics of a shared life. What we didn't talk about was what we were thinking, what we were missing, or when we had last felt close. It happened so gradually that there was no moment to point to, no fight, no betrayal, no reason dramatic enough to stop and ask questions. That's what made it dangerous. I remember a couple we were close to, married for nearly 40 years, announcing they were separating. Everyone was shocked. Later, Anne told me something the wife had said quietly over coffee. We were fine, just fine. And I realized I didn't want to spend the rest of my life just being fine. That sentence stayed with me because we were fine too. And fine, I learned, is where many marriages slowly disappear. Not in anger, not in tragedy, but in comfort, in routine, in the belief that there will always be time to reconnect later. Later is the word that steals decades. By the time you notice the distance, you've already learned how to live with it. For a while, every disagreement felt like a contest. Who was right? Who was being unreasonable? Who needed to change? We didn't say it that way, but that's how it played out. I argued to win. Anne argued to be understood. And somehow both of us walked away feeling like we'd lost. The moment that shifted things wasn't about us. It was about our son. He was already an adult when his life unraveled. Job gone. Marriage failing. He moved back home, not with answers, but with exhaustion. Anne and I had different instincts about how to help him. Different fears, different approaches. But this time, there was no room to fight. This wasn't me versus her. This was us facing something together. We listened, really listened, not to respond, but to understand. And somewhere in those long, quiet conversations, I remembered what we were supposed to be. Not opponents trying to prove a point, partners trying to protect what mattered. When you remember you're on the same side, arguments stop being weapons and start becoming tools. I wish I could say we figured it out early. We didn't. We figured it out late. Late enough to feel the weight of what we'd lost, but not so late that there was nothing left to hold. There are years we can't get back. Conversations that should have happened sooner. Moments when choosing comfort over effort quietly cost us closeness. We carry that. Even now, after 50 years, we still slip. I still retreat into silence. Anne still carries more than she should. Old patterns don't disappear just because you recognize them. What changed wasn't perfection. It was awareness. We stopped assuming time would fix things. Stopped telling ourselves later was guaranteed. Some nights we sit together and say very little. But it's different now. We know why we're quiet. And we know when silence means distance. And when it means rest. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't give him advice. I would give him a warning. Love doesn't end all at once. It fades when you stop paying attention, when fine feels good enough, when you mistake endurance for connection. We didn't lose each other, but we learned, just in time, how easily we could have. And that knowledge is something we live with every single day.
I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because no one warned me. Nothing dramatic has to happen for a life to slip past you. No collapse. No betrayal. No single bad decision. Just days that feel fine, years that feel stable, a relationship that survives but doesn't stay alive. If you're waiting for the moment when things are bad enough to change, you may wait forever. The danger isn't that you'll lose everything, it's that one day you'll realize you kept it and still let it pass you by. I know, I almost did.